explain the name of the band, Eve to Adam.
Well, Eve to Adam originates from an epic poem by John Milton called Paradise Lost.
Uh-huh.
And, over time it's had a lot of different meanings to me, but I think the one that's really stuck and what it's evolved into is that there's no religious connotation to it, or affiliation, I should say, rather, with the band. The band's not a religious band, it's not a Christian band. The name represents basically the options of choice and how our lives are shaped by that choice, and obviously the apple being the representation for temptation. We live in a modern world in a fast-paced life today where there's so much temptation, and I think that, it correlates to that our lives as human beings are shaped by the decisions we make through the choices that are presented in front of us. So I think it's pretty universal for a lot of people, and so far, there's been really good reaction to the band name, and it's stuck around for a while. So initially, I didn't know if it was going to be a great name, but it turned out to be okay.
Yeah, it kind of fits your music. I've been listening to the CD and Banquet for a Starving Dog, and it has a lot of variety on it. I didn't expect that, and it takes a lot of risks there. This sounds kind of familiar, but it's also very unique. Can you tell me more about your music?
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you bring that up. That's been something that's followed us throughout our career and in our development as a band. Sonically, we've always kind of had a sound that is very familiar to people, but they can't quite place what the influences are or where it comes from. I think it's a testament to how we have a unique combination of how we use those influences. We use them sparingly, and we never blatantly lift anything from any of the bands that we've always been inspired by. We just use it as motivation, and luckily we've been able to come up with a combination of elements that are familiar and make people kind of interested in wanting to find more, but as they delve deeper into the sound, they find that there's a real signature there and a real sonic identity.
Now, you guys have been together for a while, so and I really like the vocals, and there's some really hard drums on there. And how'd the band come together?
Well, my brother and I started this band originally in Florida. We've been playing together since we were kids. It's been a quest of ours since we were very young to be in a rock and roll band and to do this as a profession, as a living. We moved up to New York City with the sole purpose of finding a guitar player to complete the to be the cornerstone of our sonic landscape, and that's how we found Gaurav Ball. So, although my brother and I are not originally from New York City, the band has been founded there for over a decade, and that's where our home is, not only as a band, but where our hearts are, and our spirit and our determination and everything comes from the character that was forged there in New York City. So.
And I've Run Your Mouth, the single is, wow, it's just really taken off. It's got great success, great reviews. How's that feel to have the single skyrocketing like it is? I mean, there's a great video that I saw on it. So tell me some more about the single.
Sure. Well, no, it feels great. I mean, you never quite know how people are going to react. We had a decently successful album previously to this, which was Queens to Eden, that came out in 2007. And we were looking for kind of a reboot, because we had been kind of dormant for a little bit, and we were searching for new management and label. There's quite a bit of business that needed to be taken care of, so there was a bit of a lag time between the previous album and the new one. So we really needed to come out with something that was going to make a statement, to yet continue the sound of the band. So it was a unique challenge that was before us, but I'm happy to have come up with a song with the band that we really enjoy playing live. It has a lot of power, both recorded and live performance. The video really came together great. We were really lucky to get a cool concept together. I was lucky to come up with that at the last minute, with that whole mafia snitch scene.
Yeah, it's awesome. I liked it.
Thank you. Being able to get some of those iconic faces in there too. Vincent Pastore from Sopranos and Chuck Zito and Dan Florek from Law and Order.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's hard as a new band, trying to get people to watch a video. They don't really know who you are. and there's so many cliche options. I think we came up with a very unique vehicle to get people to watch it because you've got famous faces there. So overall, I would think it's a great new introduction for people that didn't know the band, and it was a great continuation of previous work for us. So it was a great bridge and a great kickoff to this album. I think this album is just, we haven't even scratched the surface yet with the potential of this album, and I'm glad that you touched on the diversity of it. And it was basically constructed and put together so that we could tour on it for a couple of years. It has multiple singles and a wide diversity of sound because we are trying to, enlarge our audience and include people that have kind of strayed away from rock and roll. We're trying to bring them back to kind of where, Aerosmith left off and whatnot. Big songs with some ballads and just heartfelt, soul-felt performance, and I think that's what's going to bring people back to rock and roll.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I read a quote that you said rock needs to be protected. It's on the endangered species list. So you guys are on a quest to kind of bring it back.
Well, we're not the only band, but we're certainly one of the bands that are certainly avidly waving that flag, and putting our our heart and soul out there every performance, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of of a powerful medium and art form that basically, in my opinion, saved my life in a lot of different ways, and I'm paying respect to it by doing that, and also I'm trying to renew it for future generations, making sure that it has the dignity and respect that it deserves, and also fueling it with some new imagination and creativity, to remind people of what a great experience and escape this form of music is, and too often people have just written it off as being cliche, and I can't quite blame them because, lately there have been a lot of bands just mailing it in and everything's become a little bit stagnant, and there's not quite enough heart in what's going on, and I think people are looking to connect with performers more on that level. And, I think that's why Adele, for instance, has sold, 4 million albums, because there's a lot of soul bearing on that album. And I think we need a little bit more of that again in rock, and I think, I think we're one of the bands out there that's basically what we do, passionate performances, where we bear our soul through our material. And so far I can see the effects, have been really positive, and I see that people are kind of awakening to what we've always known, but sometimes you just need a fresh face on a familiar sound to bring it back.
I was going to ask you, I talked to Underride last week, the lead singer Rev, and you guys are out on the road, and I was asking him what's the reception been out on the road? You guys are kind of, trying to reach out with your music, and so you've got a really big tour going here. So what's the reception been like?
The reception's been really great, actually. We have the privilege and honor of being out with a band like Tantric, who's, a multi-platinum band, and certainly one of the bigger bands from the new millennium era, post-grunge or whatever you want to call it. The crowds have been great, and the crowds are showing up hungry, to get great performances, and that's what they're getting. I think this has been a great bill that the management and agents put together here. You've got a nice variance of rock and roll sound, but all still works together. Your Man Made Machine is a very cool band. Underride's been doing a great job kicking the show off. We certainly kick it into a different gear, and then Tantric finishes it off with songs that with a great performer like Hugo. So I think you'd be hard pressed to find more bang for the buck.
Yeah, it sounds, and
so
tour, that's what I was going to ask you about next. Is your live shows sounds like they're a lot bringing back out that crowd that's kind of been left out. Maybe, I don't know. Is that?
Sure. Yeah, I think. That's part of the problem with rock and roll is that it's forgotten. Its foundation is hard work and blue collar people. Just can't spend, stupid amounts of money on stuff that's just not quite worth it anymore, really. Let's be honest. Things are overinflated and overpriced, and merchandise is out of control, and I know cost is up, but at the end of the day, really it's not fair for the fan to have to carry it all the way. So, we try to, what we do is we bring it all no matter the ticket price. I think the way to reignite this is to bring some value back to performance also, and I think you'll get those people back, no problem. I mean, going through Ohio and Michigan and Illinois, and we're going to be through Oklahoma. We're on our way to Colorado right now. We're seeing a lot of people they're struggling, but they do their best to come out and support, and they do what they can. And I think it's, it takes two to tango in this sense. So, we've got to be able to give on our end, and certainly I've seen on the other end that the fans are more than willing to come out and give their money and energy and time to a show that matters, and to a show that cares, and that's what you have here, and that's what you always have with ESAB. We always care about our fans, and that's never going to end. That's always been the foundation for this group. Has been great live, adrenaline, intense-filled shows. And what we're doing now is we're increasing our production. We're getting out there to bigger audiences, and we want to make sure that we're going to give you the best show, for your money.
You've toured with some really big bands, Daughtry and Motley Crue. Can you tell me any highlights, like what's a favorite moment of yours on stage, something like that?
I'll tell you what, those were great moments and everything, but I think one of my favorite moments was just happened this past summer when we were out on tour with Saving Abel, and we had the opportunity to play WJJO's Band Camp Festival, Madison, Wisconsin, in July, and we were lucky to come out to a crowd of 14,000 strong.
Wow, awesome!
And that was one of those childhood moments where I grew up worshiping Axl Rose and it's like and Steven Tyler and like a lot of big arena bands. So for the first time ever, I really felt like I was kind of in the same realm as those great performers. So that was a pretty it was a surreal moment, and it's certainly one that kind of ignited something in me to want more of that. So it's something that being the kind of person I am and performer I am, it just pushes me to just want more, and keep pushing the envelope to obtain that, because that was an awesome feeling.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, how this tour is going with Tantric. I mean, are you having fun on this tour? You guys, it sounds like a good mesh with the bands. They've all brought a little bit of something different, but a good fit together, I guess. So how's this tour going?
Yeah, the tour's going really well. There's a nice camaraderie between the bands. We're all out here working hard, but we're having a lot of fun, too. There's a lot of mutual respect, which is really cool. You don't always get that on a lot of tours, so that's a nice feeling, and it's a really great feeling for us, too, because, we put this album out a couple months ago, so it's still pretty fresh, and, to have people coming out and that know the words to some of the songs and really are familiar with material and be able to sing it back to you, I mean, that's really rewarding, as a writer and as a performer, to have people not only accept what you do, but to really, integrate it with their life and have it become a soundtrack for their life, and then to share that moment together, from the performer to the audience. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's really what it comes down to. That's what keeps you driving through the snow, and that's what keeps you, not making so much money at times, and just, those are the things you remember when times are tough. That's what you turn to.
Those are the rewards for all that hard work, huh?
I'm sorry?
This is the rewards for all that hard work and all that time and energy, yeah.
Well, that's what you remember, and that's what matters, and I think for bands that forget that, then that's where they end up quitting or breaking up or whatever, because, you've got to find reward in more than just what a lot of people seek. Fame and fortune is often, it's a misleader, you're not going to, it doesn't lead you to what you're really searching for,